Namaste and welcome. Today, it's my pleasure to introduce a very leading entrepreneur, Ranjani Anachi. She is a serial innovator in AI and robotics, and she has conquered challenges across industries, from defense to mining to cybersecurity. With a passion for empowering robots to work like teams, her vision is to redefine safety and efficiency with intelligent collaboration. She used to be in the Boston area and has now moved away from our community. But it is such a pleasure, Rajni, to invite you here to share your vision. Thank you for taking the time. Namaste.
Thank you so much, Ranjani. This has been a pleasure. And it's also so nice to reconnect with you after a few years. I just thought I would kick off by telling what our new enterprise is all about, which
Yeah,
is
and this is not your first company. This is many, many different companies before Avawatz came up. Is that correct?
this is my third startup. So we are in that place where you've been there, done it. Hopefully, we don't repeat mistakes, right? So that's the biggest thing. Uh, so with Avawatz, what we are really passionate about is solving the problem of making robotic systems work together as teams more efficiently in areas of operation which are more difficult, more austere conditions, right? It's easy to make robotic systems work well when everything is good, but ideal conditions don't prevail. So where Avawatz brings value is we're focused on artificial intelligence based solutions for solving this, how to make robotic systems work when the environment is not so conducive all the time. So unpredictability and dynamic environments. Yeah,
Oh,
that's what it's about. Yeah.
so you're telling me teamwork is hard in austere conditions, both for humans and robots. So that's interesting, but I can imagine that the challenge is really, really very difficult. And also, I was really interested. Of course, the product itself seems complicated and really wonderful, solving a very important problem. But I was even more taken to find out that the funding for this company you are doing not just by raising large capital from VCs, but actually using a crowdfunding model. So could you tell us a little bit about that? And if it is crowdfunding, can Lokvani people who watch this participate in it?
That's again really something that I want to talk about because I stumbled upon it. I have prior life I have known how to raise capital by other means, more traditional methods. So what happened was at the time of coming out of the pandemic, I was just thinking, okay, it's time to raise capital because we had already received quite a good substantial funding for creating advanced technologies from the US Defense and Homeland Security. So a starting point was already good. So at that point, I thought there are many ways I want to reach out to a lot of angels and raise capital because you're in a seed stage pretty much. And I stumbled upon the crowdfunding as another option, which includes everybody. It includes angels. It includes the open everyone because trust me, anybody who's earning is also an investor.
Yeah.
So it opens doors from that angle. So I got excited and I said, like everything else I do in life is if you don't get into it and actually experiment with it, then you do not know what is involved. Yeah. So that's how I got started. And I think it's a fertile ground. It is like any kind of digital marketing. It's more of a marathon race rather than a short sprint to, certain things. So I kind of like it because it's also allowing us to bring our branding story, it's bringing our product lines and the kind of help you get because now your investor pool is not just a few,
Ah,
20 people. It is like hundreds of people. So we're close to 1,000 investors at this point. So, I think it's a good way. And it's also very inclusive. It does not preclude any class of investor participating in these rounds. And the future rounds, you can always tier them as being different ones. So I hope that's helpful to our audience as
that
well.
is really interesting. And so is there like a website or something that they can go and click in case somebody wants to participate? And how small an investment can people make?
That's a good question. Companies set their own minimum investments. We are actually doing it for this round at $500, which anybody can afford. So it's really something, for getting. It's literally like being in the open street, open market, but doing it with SEC regulation in a forum that is much more democratic.
Yeah. So is there like a website that they would go to do this?
So I could share
Yeah.
our own platform, where we are raising.
Okay.
Now, for information, they just have to probably search for equity crowdfunding on
Mhm.
Google. And then, it'll show up. But I
Perfect.
will definitely share our link.
Sure.
We are raising on startengine.com/offering/Avawatz.
Perfect. I'll put that on the video so that people can take a look at it. And, definitely $500. I mean, that's so great. It's such a good way for people to take a little step into investing in startups because, God willing, the startup really succeeds. And, even the small investor then gets a little foothold in it. And I think that's just wonderful, for you to allow others the opportunity to do that. So thank you so much, Rajni. And I was looking at your whole, work here, and of course, while I am not, that knowledgeable about AI and robotics, but it did seem like, the challenge that you are addressing here is that robots need to work together, and the challenge is that there is not standardization of protocols. They can't quite talk to each other yet. So, what is the unique thing that you're bringing to make these things happen?
That's a good one because we are always working in that space, right? So one of the challenges with different hardware talking to each other is you do need interfacial software,
Mhm.
and that's where we come in. Now, with our AI platform, what we do is there is always going to be old players who are very well established in the marketplace who've got their own protocols, and it's been there for a while, and they have proprietary interfaces. Now, on the other hand, robotics and AI are like a floodgate of opportunities are opening up. So we also see evolving new standards. So what we are finding in the marketplace, which is very attractive for all entrepreneurs and technology players, is that some of the new interfaces are open standards. They allow for API driven communication much more easily. So
Hmm.
what we are doing is we actually allow interfaces for the open platforms very easily through our APIs. And for some of the more proprietary platforms, we bridge the gap so that anyone who is using our platform and our solutions and also what we enable for them to build around, they don't need to worry about the complexity. It's like making it easy, because why do you think AI has taken off on this ramp is because the tooling is becoming easier and easier and easier. We want everybody to embrace it and use it.
Fantastic, fantastic. And I was very interested to see that you actually started with the government, working on research projects for government. And I think if I understood it correctly, it was also in the, for example, using it for, Air Force, where you said, cleaning up of the runway was a big problem that I think I heard you talk about. What motivated you to go into the government space in the first place? And how easy is it to work with the government?
That's a good question, Ranjani. For me, what happened was actually I was talking to one of my previous customers, and then I was pitching a slightly different product in the same space, but a slightly different product for which, we had an early prototype. Then the gentleman actually walked me through the runway and said, look, here is a problem. I have methods of cleaning the runway. It's not like the runways are not getting cleaned. But the real challenge is I want to clean it up on demand in under 30 minutes because
Mm.
I want to shut a whole runway. So, and this happened to be one of the commanding captains in the US Air Force. It just happened to be. And I also happened to be at the Qatar Air Force Base, which is probably a commercial Air Force base. So I was talking to him, and then he said the same problem is all over all airports, whether they're commercial or Air Force driven. So that allowed me to think broadly, and we came back and we went to the drawing board, and when we started solving, we said, oh my goodness, let's use air robots to detect and ground robots to remedy the situation, like removing the hazardous. But then the minute we started working on it, we realized that the infrastructure to build this is not just out of the box, it's not available,
Mm.
because there are some real problems in this outdoor space which are austere, hard. Sometimes even cloud connectivity will come and go. So you have to build a system that is different. So what the opportunity for us is, although we got started there, and I feel grateful and blessed that the Air Force and US other Army, as well as DHS, Department of Homeland Security, have funded us. But I also feel that where we are is so on point with the commercial world.
That's
We're
that's
only one product suite, and selling it to all these markets.
Oh my goodness. So it has been obviously a very good experience for you. And I saw in your career itself, I think working with the government has been something that you've done, even in your other companies, if I remember. And that was very interesting to see that, it seems like, you obviously are the expert on AI and robotics, and you have used that to solve problems in a variety of industries. I mean, you went from, I think, mining to the US Air Force, in Air Force, runway cleaning. How do you kind of, navigate from one industry to the other in such a seamless fashion?
Well, there is an underlying, thread. The underlying issue really is wherever you look, it's always touching data and sensors.
Hmm.
So whether it's the mining industry, my first company, we actually created some sensors to detect faults within conveyor belts.
Mm.
At Saigal, which was previously called MZEAL, we were looking at network data, which was coming through all kinds of network sensors. And today at Avawatz, we're looking at the entire robotic spectrum where our feed-in is through sensors. So that's the common thread. The other common thing is, of course, I've been in AI even before, it's become more very famous. And it's become the buzzword. So that's been my thread, because my PhD was in AI, more oriented towards molecules that make life possible. So that's how I could picture myself. Now the other thing that you asked me, which is like about what is this? Why do you work with government and why research? I think it's my background. Each entrepreneur has got their own uniqueness, right? My background is I come from a research background. I'm a scientist and an engineer and an entrepreneur. So I do have a business hat, but it starts from science and engineering. So I like to solve harder problems, and some of them are openly solicited by these agencies.
Yeah. And that's great to know. I mean, I think that's interesting that you want to solve the hard problems. I like that a lot, and I know your PhD is from IISc Bangalore, which is one of the most premier institutions in the world for research. And it's very interesting that you did AI when nobody else was doing AI, or it was not the buzzword of that time. So, oh my
Not
goodness.
computational algorithmic space, but it just is part of AI today. That's how I put it.
Right. That was very, very interesting. So, what is the vision for your company? Why should people invest in your company?
That's a good question. See, we are really a company that is bridging the future of this robotics and AI in a way that we can sell our products to the pure AI players. We can also sell it to this, really fast growing area of sensors and sensor driven platforms, which are fully robotic with motion or without that locomotive type. So it could be, this is like a growing industry. And the more and more sophisticated and nuanced applications are going to be where robots can behave and they can make shared decisions. So robotic systems and those shared decisions where human also is part of the team could happen, but the more autonomous self-made decisions are becoming, like that can be well elucidated and the human collaborator likes it and approves of it, the more this kinds of teaming will happen, and we don't need to put humans in harm's way at all. We could pretty much use a lot of robotic systems for the hard places, especially where you touch chemicals, where you're touching, environments where humans should not be working. And on the other side, the same thing can translate to all error-prone methods where, we save human cognitive burden. So that's the vision of the company. I think it's very good. We are in that future shaping sharp edge where we straddle AI and robotics. We're a pure AI based company. So we're a software company. So for everyone involved. So it gives us an opportunity to work with a lot of hardware vendors. I think the future is really where plug and play hardware is going to come, and you can work with software like ours, which is also plug and play. It's pretty composable. You can use it to the extent you want individually or in concert to build your systems.
Wow. So there's a lot of enterprises that would like to use your technology, and hence I can see the growth in that process quite a bit. And it makes a lot of sense to invest in your company. So, I mean, from your perspective, I mean, you've been in the AI space for so long. What do you think are the big problems or the interesting problems in the space and of AI and robots where there are opportunities for others that you think they can pursue?
Yes, absolutely. So, I mean, AI has already taken off. It's there practically in almost everything that we are using, whether it's language based, whether it is vision based, and also in applications of HR, finance, they're more well established because it's more the language the humans speak. Now, where we have more and more opportunities are, and again, we are a lot of the manufacturing is already done by robotics. Only thing is they are very predictable environments. There's nothing unpredictable about those. It ought to be like that. You're talking about a manufacturing line. But where the opportunities lie is making things easy for the end user, one, as always, in product building. The other is that interfacial things where we can build products that can address some of the specific niche areas where the niche areas are very large. So there's a lot of opportunities within critical infrastructure, manufacturing, because this is going to happen because world over manufacturing has already become automated. It's going to only get more so. But there's also an element, and I think our joint responsibility to shape these opportunities to make human life more safe. I think that's very important, don't you?
Yes, absolutely. And I think I did not realize that part of it till you articulated it today, that really there are, when you were talking about mining, I think recently I read an article about mica mining and how dangerous it was, for people. And mining has always been that, right? Lot of tragedies. And if we could have robots do them, I think that really would be a very, very good opportunity to not put humans in the way of harm. And of course, defense is another place. It'll be good if the robots just fight and humans are not, affected by that. I think that's a wonderful thing. So no, really, really good vision for you to have, and it's really wonderful to see how you are thinking about robots and AI to really be important for human life. And I see that beautifully articulated. Thank you, Rajni. And now this is I wonder if all this compassion towards humanity comes from you being a woman. You are doing something very difficult. I mean, there are not that many women entrepreneurs in the world, and you're in a very intense technical space as well. It's not a simple product that you are building. What has that journey been like, and what advice would you have for other women entrepreneurs, wanting to pursue an entrepreneurial career?
Yeah, this is like, I think, a lifelong odyssey, if you will, right? All I can say is that I've never distinguished myself in the workplace as I'm a woman and somebody else is a man. I mean, that's the first barrier does not exist, at least not in my mind. So I think that's made it just a problem for entrepreneurs. So what happens is, I'm not saying that the factor that we have certain aspects of our life which are different, and we have to deal with that, and bring a balance between our work life and our all of those social, family, and work situations. That's given, but I don't think it's very different from one entrepreneur to another, because why I'm telling you is, when I was in engineering, 10% was female and the rest was male, right? So I do have a lot of friends in the other side of the camp, right? But what I realize is it does not matter really. The journey of an entrepreneurship is you have to have a very clear goal of what is it that you want to solve, for who and how do you make a business case out of it. So it's not just an exercise where I'm led by passion of, wanting to build something, but you also have to think about the business aspect. I think because I've done it very early, the business aspect becomes just as important, because if I can build but not sell, it's no good, right? It just goes wayside. So my real some of the challenges have always been how to find that sharp line to the customer faster in your path of product building or service delivery. Service delivery is, I think, a lot more customer centric. Product building, sometimes especially engineers can isolate themselves and say what I'm building is the be all end all, but that's not always the case. So that's always a challenge, and it's a continuous learning, Ranjini. It's not something that you know it, because the world around changes so much and we have to be changing with it for the better. So that's my entrepreneurial journey. It's been long. It's been hard, but very fruitful, I would say. I don't think I would be doing anything else in my life. This is what I like doing, and flourishing there. And also, it's a very nurturing and an empowering environment for others, both women as well as other entrepreneurs, because we have to shepherd everyone in this journey. And that, I think, is a good diverse way of looking at entrepreneurial journeys, in my simplistic opinion, because I've done two startups and this is my third, so my experience is only limited to that, right? So
I mean, two startups, and this is a lot of startups, and you have sold your company. So your experience makes a lot of sense to me, actually. And actually, I have heard this from others as well. I mean, I have a son and a daughter who are entrepreneurs, and they say that, that I think it's definitely the challenges are different. I think definitely I hear that, but the more of the bigger challenges are certainly what you are saying, which is it is about the entrepreneurship. It's about actually finding that customer, the line to the customer, and getting the product out there, and all of the other challenges that you're talking about. So I hear that from my children as well. So I totally believe what you're saying. And I think that's what I've heard successful entrepreneurs always say, that like it's a very difficult journey. And also that it's a career, what you're saying, right? That
yeah.
you do it only because you want to do it. There's nothing else you would rather do. So it's one thing to have a job, but to do this is it takes a very special person, I think, to make a career out of this. And so really very, impressed with what you have done with your life and your career. And I think it's good advice for women, that to see the thing, not to put their, definitely not to think about the problem just from a female perspective, but think about the problem. I think that's what you're saying. And I think that's a good idea. So great. I really, really, value what you have said. And hopefully, after watching this, there will be people who, maybe contribute to your, company. And I think that will be a great blessing for somebody wanting to take a little dip into investing, and also in the AI and robotic space. And hopefully there are other women watching, and who might be thinking about becoming entrepreneurs, who can certainly be led by you. By the way, do you take part in any kind of mentoring for women or entrepreneurs in your spare time, if you have any?
Well, I have always been part of some of these nurturing groups, on and off, because time is always of essence. But when someone approaches, it's you shepherd them in ways that you possibly can, because that's very important. And I've had the pleasure of shepherding many entrepreneurs, and also people who are in career tracks, because entrepreneurship is just a small part. At the end of the day, it's really team building, isn't it? Yeah. So that's what I always think about. It's not just me, but it is who I can entice to work with me, and how to do that and not, you want to have a working environment which is nurturing, where everybody's mind is nurtured, but they're also, feel that the company is being guided by good leadership that can bring in the business, right? That's the two parts. So that's important for on people who are jumping into entrepreneurship, because it's a hard journey. And also, you better have some good support system that you put around you, without which you become like a gymnast or a skydiver without a net below, or a parachute. So that's what I say. It's all about who you surround yourself with. And I've been blessed in many, many ways.
Yeah. Is that support system coming from family, friends? Where are you, or all of the above?
The home-based support is always family, but you also need a very large extended associate network where, people know you, they trust you, and the trust is both ways, right? So that, you can reach out to them, they can reach out to you, and it's a partnership in making all the time. But, you have to have that large network, and that's important. That's a career journey for anybody. But when you're an entrepreneur, it becomes more natural. It is the only way you can survive.
Beautiful. I think you talked about team building in humans and in robots. And I always thought it was just about humans, but now I know that robotic team building is as challenging and as important, something that you're actually putting your company behind and getting it done. What a pleasure, Rajni. Really wish you all the good luck, and I look forward to those robots, maybe with not just IQs but EQs as well, right? So who knows where the world of robots is moving. So God bless you, and thank you so much for your time. And I know that people in the Boston area who have missed you would be very happy to see this interview and to know that you're well, thriving, and really changing the world where you are. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And we do want all kinds of people, everybody, to participate in Avawatz, become a shareholder, and invest. Thank you.
God bless. So we look forward to seeing more people involved in Avawatz and calling it their own company. Thank you so much. Namaste.
Namaste.